today, Major League Baseball again showed how out of touch they are and how much of a joke their Hall of Fame is. So today, there were no inductees into the Hall of Fame. None. Zero. This was how it went. Curt Schilling was the closest. He fell 16 votes short with 71.1% of the vote. Reminder, you need 75% of the vote needed to be elected. Barry Bonds had 61.8%. Roger Clemens had 61.6%. Scott Rowland, who trended up the most, I don't know how. He's not a Hall of Famer. I just don't understand this. He's at 52.9%. But then again, if Major League Baseball is going to set the bar so freaking low and put Harold Baines in the Hall of Fame, then I guess you can make a case for Scott Rowland, even though he's not nowhere close to being a Hall of Famer. Then Omar Vasquel, the wife beater, gets 49.1% of the vote. I'm glad that him beating his wife, he was able to beat out Billy Wagner, Todd Helton, Gary Sheffield, Andrew Jones, Jeff Kent, Manny Ramirez, Sammy Sosa, Andy Pettit, Mark Burley, and that's really all that matters. I mean, I guess he could have stopped at Pettit because Burley's nowhere close to being a Hall of Famer. But the wife beater, Omar Vasquel, got more votes than all those guys did. Makes a lot of sense, huh? I was glad to see that Nick Swisher got 0% of the vote because he's just a joke to baseball. And just glad that he didn't get any percentage. Makes me feel really good. But Curt Schilling, let's go into this. You cannot sit here and tell me that you are a fan of Major League Baseball. You cannot sit here and tell me that you know the game. Because if you truly know baseball, there is no way, there's just no way that you can justify without bias denying Curt Schilling a spot in the Hall of Fame. He had 3,116 career strikeouts. He was an All-Star 6 times. He tied for the Major League lead with 22 wins in 2001 when he was with Arizona. He also had a 2.98 ERA that year and led the major leagues in innings pitched with 256 and 2/3 innings. He also had 293 strikeouts that year, second in the major leagues to his teammate Randy Johnson, who had 372. Then the next year, in 2002, he had 23 wins with Arizona, but his teammate Randy Johnson led the majors with 24 wins. That year, Schilling was also second in the major leagues in strikeouts with 316. His teammate, Randy Johnson, had 334. On April 7, 2002, Schilling threw a one-hit shutout, striking out 17 against the Milwaukee Brewers. In both 2001 and 2002, Schilling finished second in Cy Young Award voting. Randy Johnson won the award both years. Then Schilling led the major leagues with 21 wins in 2004. When he was with Boston, he had 203 strikeouts that year. He finished second in Cy Young Award voting to Johan Santana. Now, Schilling also had great years before he was on Arizona. Remember, when he was with Philadelphia, he posted a 2.35 ERA in 1992. He posted a 2.97 ERA with them in 1997, and that year he led the major leagues with 319 strikeouts. The next year, still with the Phillies, he was second in the major leagues with 300 strikeouts. Randy Johnson again was first that year with 329. I mean, so if it wasn't for Randy Johnson just being an absolute animal, he would have been first almost every year. He had 11 wins, 2 losses in the postseason with a 2.23 ERA in 133 1/3 innings pitched. So tell me why he's not in the Hall of Fame. 3-time World Series champion, 1993 NLCS MVP, 2001 World Series MVP. Like I said, 19 career postseason starts, 11-2, 2.23 ERA in over 133 innings pitched. Why isn't he Hall of Famer? Oh, that's right, because he's an outspoken conservative. That's why. But you can't see it. I just laid out for you all of these stats. And not one person with a credible baseball mind can tell me that Schilling's not a Hall of Famer. Now, I'm a Yankee fan. I fucking hate the guy. I watched that 2004 ALCS. I was crushed. As a 14-year-old young lad, he killed me. He absolutely killed me. He killed me in 2001 when I was 11, watching him beat my Yankees in the World Series. I know all about the pain. I can tell you, I can write a book on the pain that Curt Schilling has given me over the years as a Yankee fan. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's not a Hall of Famer. Because to say that would be asinine. The bias has to stop. We know that he's an outspoken conservative. We know his views lean right. So once again, just like where we are in the world, people are punished for their political beliefs. And it's a damn shame, and it's making the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame look stupider and stupider every year. The Baseball Hall of Fame is a freaking joke. And if I go to the Hall of Fame, I will be the biggest dick there and say out loud, where's the Bonds plaque? Where's the Clemens plaque? Where's the Schilling plaque? Where's Gil Hodges? Where's Jeff Kent? Who is Harold Baines? Bill Mazeroski, really? Don Sutton? Who got in because he pitched for 45 years. Oh, Don Sutton had great numbers. Yeah. You know what? If I pitched in the fucking major leagues for 45 years, I would compile stats too. So let me get this straight. You have Bill Mazeroski, Harold Baines, and Barry Larkin in the Hall of Fame. But you don't have Curt Schilling, who I just laid out everything for you. Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, need I say more about the two of them? And Jeff Kent. I think Jeff Kent's a Hall of Famer. But again, Jeff Kent was an enemy of the media. The media hated him. And the media is taking it out on him by not putting him in the Hall of Fame, and that is not right. So Major League Baseball has to do something here for the good of the game, for the good of the Hall of Fame, and they have to change the way that the voting process is done. You know, we see presidents use the power of the pen and executive orders. Well, Rob Manfred should step in here and do something about this. Because a blind person can see that this is an absolute joke. What happened today was a travesty. This was a black eye on the sport of Major League Baseball today. You mean to tell, and again, now let's get off the Schilling stuff. Although, before we get off the Schilling stuff, you want to talk about, there are some people out there, well, you know what? Postseason really doesn't matter. Postseason really doesn't matter. Okay. Mind you, his regular season numbers are Hall of Fame worthy, but okay, I'll entertain you. I'll indulge. Take his regular season numbers away. Bill Mazeroski got in for one swing of the bat because he beat the almighty Yankees, and everybody hates the Yankees. And that's why Bill Mazeroski's in the Hall of Fame. If Bill Mazeroski would have hit that home run against Cleveland or Baltimore, no one would have cared. But he beat the almighty Yankees, and that's how he got in. And I can hear it now. But why, Chris? Why do you say that? Okay, Bill Mazeroski. You want to say this guy's a Hall of Famer? Career batting average of .260. .260. That's his career batting average. That wasn't his batting average for 1 year. That wasn't his batting average for 1 year. That wasn't his batting average for a stretch during a year. That was his career batting average. A .260 career batting average. 2,016 hits. Doesn't even have 3,000 hits. 138 home runs 853 runs batted in. How is this guy in the Hall of Fame? Curt Schilling can't get into the Hall of Fame with an 11-2 postseason record. With all the stats that I sent you on Schilling, but Mazeroski can get in with a 260 batting average? Are these people smoking marijuana before they put their ballots in? What are they doing? This is a joke. You can't sit here and tell me. I want to be that person. I want to be that person that's in a room with someone that thinks Bill Mazeroski's a Hall of Famer, but will not vote or does not think that Barry Bonds is a Hall of Famer. Because if there's something else in the room, I may throw it at them. Now, Bonds, Clemens, they're a different story. Yes, we know that they cheated. Yes, we know that they used performance-enhancing drugs. Yes, we know that they enhanced their game. And that's cheating, and we know that. We're not dumb. We've heard it for years. When Congress had nothing else better to do that year than to go after baseball players for using steroids in a game. Who cares? That was actually a thing. I actually remember watching the Mitchell trial. You would have thought that there was a murder. Grown men were using performance-enhancing drugs in a game. Why don't we just take everyone that has ever used Viagra during sex and put them on trial? You've enhanced your performance. Now. You are not a sex Hall of Famer. You use Viagra. You use pills. Come on. And you can't tell, and you're going to sit here and tell me that people from the Houston Astros, from that team that was banging trash cans and cheating to win World Series, I'm at a loss for words. So if Clemens and Bonds never get in, Schilling never gets in, then they can save the time and they can announce that anyone that was playing on that Houston Astros team is out. Jose Altuve, whatever the heck, Jose Altuve, out. You'll never be in the Hall of Fame, buddy. Done. This is my thing. You're going to put in Bud Selig, the commissioner of baseball at that time. And he's in the Hall of Fame. But Clemens and Bonds aren't. And I've had this discussion, and people just don't seem to wrap their heads around this. If you think that Bud Selig did not know that these guys were on something, then you're an idiot. Then you have no common sense at all. Then you're not street smart. You're not book smart. You're not smart in any capacity. You're just dumb. And you lack basic common sense. If you think that Bud Selig did not know. If you think that Joe Torre, and I'm a Yankee fan again, but if you think that Joe Torre didn't know that some of his Yankee players were using stuff, then you are just on drugs. If you think Tony La Russa didn't know that Mark McGwire was sticking a needle in his ass, come on. How come these guys get in? How come these guys that had performance-enhancing drug-using players on their teams, how come they reap the benefits? So the guys that played get punished, but the managers that had the players, that won the games, that won the championships, they get into the Hall of Fame. How does that make any sense? Well, if you use the logic that I just spoke, then it doesn't make sense. If you live in your own fantasy world and fantasy bubble, then yeah, it makes perfect sense. But just think about it. Think about what I just said. How does that make any sense? It does not. It makes no sense whatsoever. And I could see if Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds were the only two people in Major League Baseball that did steroids. But they weren't. So Roger Clemens was probably night after night using steroids, pitching against guys that were also on steroids. And he still put up great numbers. Hall of Fame numbers. Barry Bonds was hitting home runs off of pitchers that were probably doing something. And he still hit home run after home run after home run after home run. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm trying to understand it. And again, in a world where baseball now is all about stats, I can't stand it. I hate it. You know why I love running my own baseball league? Because nobody talks about WAR or exit velocity. Nobody gives a shit about that. This started to happen a couple of years ago because Major League Baseball felt that that's it. That's the way. That's the way that we're going to get the younger audience, is caring about something called WAR and caring about something called exit velocity. Oh, Aaron Judge hit the ball out of the ballpark and it traveled out at this miles per hour. Who cares? Who cares how far the ball went? If it's a game-winning home run in the bottom of the ninth for my team, I can give it two shits if it just makes out of the ballpark or it is 25 miles out of the ballpark. I don't care. If it just clears the fence or it's a moonshot, I don't care. And I wouldn't care if I was sitting in the stands watching the game or at home watching the game. I don't care. And you poll people that are 45 and younger, and they will say that they don't even care about this. You know what this is for? This is for those little fantasy baseball nerds that have declared war on this game. The real war. Not wins above replay, whatever the hell that shit is. Actual war they have declared on the game of baseball. Because they want to force this down your throat. Now, I have no problem for fantasy baseball leagues if they want to focus on this stat, or a fantasy baseball show where they want to focus on this stat, then I don't care. But when it's mainstream, when it's everywhere, when I'm sitting down watching MLB Network and they're sitting there talking about war, who cares? Because I don't. And normal baseball fans under the age of 35 don't care either. And again, this is a discussion for a whole nother podcast, but I'll say it quickly. The reason that Major League Baseball is struggling to get younger fans, or they want to get younger fans. You want to know how you get younger fans? Who cares about WAR above replacement? Who cares about putting a pitch clock to time the pitcher? Who cares about timing how many trips a manager can take to the mound? That's not going to help. You know what's going to help? Actually marketing your stars. Look at the NFL. Running a cornerback in let's think of just a minute place. A cornerback on the Jacksonville Jaguars. People would probably recognize a cornerback, a backup cornerback on the Jacksonville Jaguars, then they would recognize Mike Trout, who is probably one of the best baseball players out there currently right now. And the problem is that Major League Baseball does not market their stars. I sit down, I'm watching sports with my girlfriend, and I see commercials with Aaron Rodgers, football player, Baker Mayfield, football player, Blake Griffin, basketball player. I mean, on NHL Network, there's even commercials with the hockey players. There's nothing with Major League Baseball. They don't market anyone. That's how you get the young fan. Not by WAR or eliminating how many trips someone can take to the mound or 7-inning games like it's Sunday morning softball. Nobody cares about doing that. Because a regular football game is and I've looked it up, and I challenge you to look it up too. A regular football game opposed to a baseball game, on average, is about 4 minutes longer than a baseball game. So it has nothing to do with length of the game. It's because you're not marketing. But anyway, I digress. You want to talk about stats. I have one little stat to leave you guys with, because everyone wants to talk about stats and WAR and this and that, exit velocity. This is a stat while we're on the Hall of Fame. Do you know that 9 people didn't vote for Hank Aaron? Do you know that 9 people didn't think that Babe Ruth was a Hall of Fame baseball player? Another 9 didn't think Honus Wagner was either. Johnny Bench, 16 people didn't think he was a Hall of Famer. Ted Williams, some say the greatest hitter of all time. 20 people didn't vote for Ted Williams. 23 didn't vote for Willie Mays. 23 didn't vote for Stan Musial. 28 didn't vote for Rickey Henderson. And the next one blows my mind. Oh my God, it blows my mind. 28 people did not vote for Joe DiMaggio. But get this, it gets better. 28 people didn't vote for Joe DiMaggio on his second year on the ballot. Yeah, he only got 69.4% in his first year on the ballot, Joe DiMaggio. 56-game hitting streak, the Yankees, all those numbers he put up, all the World Series. He couldn't crack 70% in his first year. And then you mean to tell me that 28 people didn't think that Joe DiMaggio on his second year in the ballot was a Hall of Famer? Right then and there, Major League Baseball should have said, okay, you know what? We have a problem with the way that this voting system is. Maybe we should change it. And again, that first ballot stuff is bullshit also. But I'll entertain. People want to go, oh, well, I don't want to vote for someone, out of their first time on the ballot. It's bullshit, but I can see where they're coming from. But let me ask you this. What's going to change his second year on the ballot? If the person's a Hall of Famer, he's a Hall of Famer. His numbers aren't magically going to get better on his second year on the ballot as opposed to his first year on the ballot. A Hall of Fame player is a Hall of Fame player. That goes for football, hockey, basketball, and baseball. The fact that people did not think Ken Griffey Jr. and Derek Jeter were Hall of Famers, they should never have any vote again. They shouldn't be able to vote for anything. They shouldn't be able to vote on a poll on Twitter. That's how out of touch those people are. And as we wrap up, because I'm getting hungry, as we wrap up, Andy Pettit got 13.7% of the vote. Now, I'm not sitting here, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I'm a Yankee fan, and I think Andy Pettit should be a Hall of Famer, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to sit here and say that. I'm not going to spew propaganda down your throat. But hear me out. Jack Morris is in the Hall of Fame. Jack Morris had a career win-loss record of 254 losses and 186. Jack Morris had a win-loss record of 254 wins and 186 losses. A career ERA of 3.90 with 2,478 strikeouts. Played on 4 teams throughout his career. A 5-time All-Star. 84 and 85 back-to-back. 4-time World Series champion, 84, and then 91 through 93. He was a World Series MVP in 91, 2-time MLB wins leader in 81 and 92, AL strikeout leader in 83, pitched a no-hitter on April 7, 1984, and he's got his number retired by the Detroit Tigers. Got in 2018 with 87.5% of the vote. Okay, now those are Jack Morris's numbers. Let me read you Andy Pettit's. 256 wins. 2 more than Morris. 153 losses. About 30 less than Morris. And a career earned run average of 385. Morris's was 390. 2,448 career strikeouts. Okay, Morris had 478. He was a 3-time All-Star, 96, 01, 2010. 5-time World Series champion, 96, 98 through 2000 and 2009. He was the ALCS MVP in 2001. He was the AL wins leader in 96. So my thing is, why is there such a disparity? And don't give me, and again, don't give me steroids. Don't. Because half the league was using them. More than half the league was using steroids. So don't give me the steroids. Take steroids out of it. You know, people go, oh, Manny Ramirez. Manny Ramirez was a compiler. Manny Ramirez isn't a Hall of Famer. But Andy Pettit was dominant, and he was dominant in the postseason. And I see some guys that got in maybe because of a good postseason. Well, Andy had a pretty okay regular season. Now, is that Hall of Fame worthy? You could say it's not. However, if Jack Morris got in and Pettit's on the same level as Morris, ask yourself 2 questions. A, why isn't Pettit in? And 2, why is Pettit polling so low? Now, Alex Rodriguez is headlining next year's class. And if I had a vote, I would vote Alex Rodriguez for a Hall of Famer next year because he is. But he won't get in. It'll be the same thing as Bonds and Clemens. I'm curious to see how low he gets next year. And hopefully next year, Curt Schilling gets in. Again, maybe he can wear a Joe Biden for President shirt and change from a conservative to a liberal. Maybe he'll get in.